Podcasts are hot right now. How do I know? Well, you're listening to one right now, aren't you? But you might be wondering, how on earth do I get my voice out there and start my own podcast? It all seems so intimidating. Between hosting and platforms and monetization, it can get real complicated real quick. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We started this podcast over 2 years ago, not knowing clue one on how to do it. So how did we do it? We did it with Anchor. Anchor is the free podcast app with creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And everybody likes money, right? Well, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go right now, download the free Anchor app, or go to Anchor FM to get started. It's the eCommerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your host, John Suder, Bart, Mroz, and Brittany Blackman. The eCommerce Minute is a production of SUMO Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm located in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. It's eCommerce Minute, episode 751.
In today's episode, coronavirus at meat plants builds demand for mobile butchers.
With coronavirus outbreaks slowing North America's meat plants and more consumers seeking to buy meat directly from farmers, Canadian and U.S. governments face pressure to expand their businesses for widespread consumption. Behold the latest innovation in traveling tech, rifle-slinging, apron-wearing mobile butchers for hire. While mobile butchers aren't exactly hitmen, they do show up to kill your cattle, then haul the carcasses off to their shops. They then cut up the animal and deliver the pieces back to your doorstep. But their work is still bloody rare. Just 16 USDA-approved mobile slaughter units are roving the country today, but that's almost twice as many as 3 years ago. Many experts say restrictions on mobile butchers should remain, since slaughtering without inspectors present could create a major health hazard. Patrick Robinette, owner of Micro Summit Processors, a North Carolina abattoir, said the use in the United States of federally inspected abattoirs on wheels should expand, but limited inspector numbers hold them back. Quote, with COVID, mobile slaughter is going to be an integral tool, said Robinette. It's time to redesign how we're getting food from the field to the plate. The North American Meat Institute, sounds like a great place to visit, which represents packers, sees mobile units as a good option for some livestock producers, said Vice President Sarah Little. But she said expanding the program would not significantly offset lost plant production. Meanwhile, in Alberta, Canada, where coronavirus infections this spring overwhelmed beef plants owned by Cargill, they are reviewing the rules for farm gate meat sales. One butcher, Vandy Bruinhost, one of Alberta's 113 mobile butchers, earns about Canadian $500 per animal. Unlike slaughter in a plant, no inspector is present at his kills on the condition that consumption of the meat is restricted to the farm household. As consumers discovered sharply higher prices in retail coolers, Alberta rancher Alan Miner fielded more calls for his beef. But slaughter space was scarce in small abattoirs that became flooded with cattle as big plants slowed production. Bert DeJong, a mobile butcher from Fort Macleod, Alberta, said regulations should allow his customers to sell meat to the public, provided customers know that it was not inspected. Some advocates think mobile butchery is more humane than the industrialized alternative. But to manage the COVID-19 crisis, there's another solution that is much more clean-cut than mobilizing an army of butchers. Invest in small local slaughterhouses. Okay, so this is a weird story. I should have put a little bit at the top, not for vegetarians. I think the point here was how people are working around the COVID crisis, and especially with the meat shortages, we've got these mobile butchers. So basically, you've got a cow and you need the thing slaughtered. You can't take it to the meat plant. You want to feed your family. These guys will come and take care of it for you. It's something new. But again, the whole inspection problem that we have, I think there's already a shortage of inspectors in this country. The meat laws are kind of, they've let them slack a little bit.
Yeah, it's so
I would rather get my meat from a mobile butcher than from some of the places that sell meat in this country.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big problem. Big meat processing places. Through the fun part of all this, we definitely have been eating less of meat. And when we get it, it's usually your farm. Like we're trying to be very, very conscious about it now, because I think I know it's a story about butchers, but your meat, you have to figure out where your food is actually coming from.
Well, it's all about the food. What do you call it? The food pipeline, the food chain, the food channel, whatever it is.
Yep. And our soil and everything else is not the greatest.
On the other side of that coin, so I understand that you're trying to be more conscientious about that. And I think that has a lot to do with the proximity of where you live. A lot of people don't have that opportunity and they're forced to just buy whatever is in the supermarket shelf which is not always
Greatest.
Personally, I'm with you. I'd rather pay a little bit more and eat a little less meat, but I don't know.
There's a lot more to it, which I understand. I mean, that's just given. But this isn't interesting. I mean, everybody's trying to figure out how many processing plants have sick people now,
Yeah. So this is kind of an oddball story, but I think the food supply chain, we've reported in the last 3 months, if there's another, lockdown or another spike in infections or whatever we don't see coming, you're going to have the same thing where people are going to start hoarding or start figuring out alternative ways to eat. And I see these guys and I'm thinking this is a great opportunity. This is somebody who's got a skill. It's definitely a skill. It's an artisanal thing. You don't get more farm to table than that.
No.
He basically comes to the farm, slaughters the animal, processes it, and then packages it up for you to eat.
I also look at it from a perspective of we need to get back to old school, right? Look at farms and looking at where your stuff. So butchers are coming to your place instead of or having smaller butchers.
Yep. No, I couldn't agree more. All right. Not much more to say about this weird story here. So we'll close it with a little stat time. As of May 26, according to an in-depth reporting by Lee Douglas of the Food and Environmental Reporting Network, FERN, 73 U.S. food processing workers have died since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak in America. 67 of them, or 9 out of 10, were meatpacker employees. These people are working in close proximity, long hours. It's not a very safe job. And unfortunately, in many communities, that's the only job that's out there. So I don't think their safety is put first. So what does that tell you about what is coming out of the plant? So if you're ever considering about eating some meat, think about where it comes from, or just go vegetarian. Got anything else, Bart?
Eat more plants.
Eat more plants. All right. That's your e-commerce minute for today. We'll see you on the internet tomorrow. That's it for today's show. If you like the show, do us a favor and subscribe or leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, you can now listen to the e-commerce minute on your Amazon device. Just add e-commerce minute to your flash briefing. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion or just want to say hi, find us on social media at SUMO Heavy.